Starting is easy, but finishing is what separates the average from the elite. Everybody loves the excitement of a new beginning. The vision is clear, the energy is high, and the motivation is fresh. You're writing plans, setting deadlines, creating vision boards, and sharing your goals with the world. But let me tell you something real, that's the part anyone can do. Anybody can write down a goal. Anybody can talk about what they're going to do. That doesn't require discipline. That doesn't require pain. That doesn't require sacrifice. But finishing, that's a whole different beast. See, when you get out the gate, it feels good. But by the time you hit mile 2, 3, 4, that's when reality kicks in. That's when the alarm clock feels heavier. That's when the friends stop calling. That's when the results don't come fast enough. And that's when the average start backing off. That's when they start negotiating with their goals. That's when they say, maybe this wasn't for me, or maybe next year. But the elite don't negotiate. They commit. They don't let the struggle talk them out of the vision. They use the pain as fuel. They keep going when it's boring. They show up when they're tired. Because they understand that starting might inspire people, but finishing, that's what makes you unforgettable. Finishing is what builds legacy. You can start 100 things in your life, but what did you finish? You can have a closet full of journals, but what did you complete? Because goals don't change your life. Only finished goals do. You don't become a champion because you signed up for the race. You become a champion because you crossed the line. You endured the pain. You stayed the course, and you finished what you started. That's the secret nobody wants to talk about. It's not motivation. It's not hype. It's not even about passion. It's about execution. It's about grinding through the middle when nobody's watching, when nothing's exciting, and you don't feel like doing it, but you do it anyway. The average fall in love with the idea of progress, but they never commit to the process of completion. They post about the hustle, but when the work gets dirty and difficult, they disappear. The elite. They live for the moments where most people quit. They know that's where separation happens. They know the moment they push through the quitting point, they step into rare territory. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't wait for motivation to strike. They just show up every day and they finish. Because they're not addicted to starting, they're addicted to seeing it through. There is a cost to finishing, and most aren't willing to pay it. It costs time, it costs focus, it costs comfort, but it's the only way to get the reward. The real power doesn't come from starting a workout plan. It comes when you show up on day 90 and realize your mind. It is different. Your body is different. Your habits are different. It doesn't come from launching a business. It comes when you grind through year 2, year 3, and you're still standing when others quit. That's what finishing does. It builds character. It transforms identity. It teaches you how to follow through in every area of life. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And when you become a finisher in your goals, you become a finisher in your relationships, your career, your purpose. You begin to trust yourself again because you proved to yourself that you can close the loop. That's the moment the game changes, not when you start, but when you decide you will not stop until it's done. Your destiny is waiting on the other side of discipline and execution. Everybody has a dream, but not everybody is willing to do what it takes to walk into that destiny. You can hope all day. You can visualize it, manifest it, journal about it, but until you put your head down, lock in, and grind with discipline, that dream stays exactly where it is, a fantasy. See, discipline is the bridge between what you say you want and what you actually get. Execution is the toll you pay to cross that bridge, and without both, you're stuck on the side of potential, watching other people live in the reality that was meant for you. Discipline means doing it when you don't feel like it. When your body says stop, but your spirit says one more rep. When your mind says sleep, but your mission says rise. Execution means taking that plan you wrote at the beginning of the year and living it out in real time, every day, no matter what distractions come your way. Destiny is not reserved for the talented. It's not just for the gifted. It's for the consistent, the focused, the relentless, the ones who understand that talk means nothing if it's not followed by action. The ones who don't just wish for success. They work for it, daily, through the grind, through the fatigue, through the resistance. You weren't designed to live an average life. You weren't put on this earth to settle for mediocrity. That fire inside you, that vision you keep seeing in your sleep, that calling you can't shake, that's your destiny, but it won't show up just because you want it. It won't unlock just because you're passionate. It unlocks through discipline, when you take ownership of your mornings, when you control your time, when you say no to shortcuts and yes to process. That's when the doors begin to open, because the universe respects those who respect their purpose enough to fight for it. Not one day, every day, you've got everything you need, but you've got to activate it. Destiny is not passive, it's active. It's waiting for you on the other side of obedience, on the other side of those early mornings, those late nights, those I don't feel like it. Moments when you show up anyway. It's waiting on the other side of rejection, failure, and frustration. And every time you push through, you get one step closer, one step more aligned, one step more refined. That's what discipline does. It sharpens you. It builds you. It transforms you from the inside out. You become the person who is not just dreaming about success, but living it, because you did the work others weren't willing to do. There's a version of you that exists on the other side of discipline that you haven't even met yet. A version of you with focus so sharp, with habits so locked in, with belief so strong that nothing can stop you. That version doesn't come alive when it's easy. It's born in struggle. It's born in repetition. It's born when you commit to the vision even when the results aren't visible, and execution is the weapon. It's the proof that you mean business. It's the daily act of saying, I'm not just inspired, I'm invested. Every action, every sacrifice, every disciplined moment is a seed planted into the soil of your future. Most people pray for outcomes they haven't prepared for. They ask for things they haven't disciplined themselves to receive. But you can be different. You can be the one who shows up when it's hard, who locks in when it's uncomfortable, who executes even when nobody's watching. Because your destiny is not built on emotion, it's built on motion. When you move with discipline, when you act with consistency, when you execute without excuse, the universe has no choice but to respond. That's when things shift. That's when doors open. That's when you stop chasing opportunity and start attracting it. Because you've done the work. Because you've proven you're ready. Because your destiny doesn't respond to noise, it responds to discipline and execution. Don't just set goals. Build the mindset to complete them at all costs. Setting goals is the easy part. Anyone can say, I want to lose weight. I want to be successful. I want to make $1 million. Or I want to graduate with honors. But saying it isn't the same as living it. Writing it down in a journal, putting it on a vision board, or announcing it on social media means absolutely nothing if you haven't built the mindset to stick with it when everything around you says quit. Because the truth is, the real battle isn't against your circumstances. It's against your comfort zone, and your mind will always try to pull you back into what's easy, what's familiar, what's safe. That's why you have to train your mindset like a muscle. You have to strengthen it, stretch it, discipline it, until finishing becomes your default setting. You don't rise to the level of your intentions, you fall to the level of your mental conditioning. If your mindset is weak, your goals will collapse under pressure. If your mindset is fragile, you'll abandon the mission the moment it gets uncomfortable. That's why goal setters fail, but goal finishers win, because goal finishers have grit. They have internal fire. They don't need applause to keep going. They don't need results to stay committed. They move on principle. They operate on discipline, not dopamine. And that doesn't come from setting a goal. It comes from building a mind that refuses to lose. The mindset you need isn't motivated by hype, it's anchored in purpose. It wakes you up early, it holds you accountable, It reminds you why you started in the first place. That mindset doesn't fold under stress, it adapts, it adjusts, it evolves. It doesn't ask for easier paths. It asks for stronger legs to walk the path. It sees failure not as a reason to stop, but as feedback to grow. Because when you've built the right mindset, you understand the assignment isn't just about achieving a goal, it's about becoming someone who can't be denied. You've got to get to the point where quitting isn't an option, where you look at your goal and say, I don't care how long it takes, how hard it gets, how many setbacks come. I'm finishing this. That level of mental commitment is rare, but that's what separates those who talk from those who transform. Your mind has to be aligned with your mission. You can't say you want to be great but think average thoughts. You can't want to win but let fear take the driver's seat. Your mindset must be unshakable because the world will test you. Life will throw delays, disappointments, and distractions your way. And when it does, your mindset is the only thing that will keep you on course. The grind is mental. The resistance is mental. The breakthrough is mental. Your body can't go where your mind won't lead it. That's why champions train their minds first. They condition themselves to keep going when it's hard, to stay focused when the noise gets loud, to believe when nothing around them says it's possible. They finish not because the path is easy, but because their mind is made up. Because they've built a belief system so solid that no storm can shake it. They don't just hope to finish. They've made finishing a part of who they are. So when you set a goal, don't just think about the outcome, think about the mindset you'll need to reach it. Build the habits, build the discipline, build the inner toughness, because at the end of the day, it's not your goal that will carry you. It's your mindset. And when that mindset is bulletproof, when it's locked in and laser focused, there's not a goal on this earth you can't finish. Every unfinished goal is untapped potential. Finish it to unlock your greatness. You didn't come this far just to start. You didn't sacrifice your time, your energy, your focus just to leave the job halfway done. Inside every unfinished goal is a version of you that was never fully developed. A level of strength and clarity that you never got to access because you stopped short of the finish line. Every time you abandon a goal, you abandon a piece of your power. You leave potential on the table. You walk away from the growth, the breakthrough, the transformation that only comes at the end of the process. Finishing isn't just about success, it's about unlocking who you were born to be. There's a reason you had that vision in the first place. That dream was placed in your heart for a purpose, but it only becomes real when you finish what you start. So many people have greatness inside of them, but you'd never know it because they keep quitting too early. They hit a wall, they hit a delay, they face resistance, and they walk away. Not because they couldn't finish, but because they weren't willing to finish. The truth is, most people don't fail. They just stop. They stop pushing, stop believing, stop grinding, and in doing so, they silence the voice of greatness within them. Finishing is where the magic happens. It's the difference between a goal being a dream and becoming a reality. It's in that final push when you're tired, when it hurts, when it feels like nothing's working. That's where character is built. That's where self-trust is earned. You don't get the reward at the starting line. You don't get it after a few weeks of effort. You get it when you go all in, when you commit past the point of comfort, when you refuse to back down even when everything in you wants to quit. That's when the greatness inside you begins to surface. Unfinished goals weigh on you. They don't disappear just because you forget about them. They linger. They whisper to you in the quiet moments. They remind you that you still owe yourself something, and you do. You owe yourself the experience of seeing what's possible when you follow through. You owe yourself the feeling of pride that comes from staying locked in until it's done. You owe yourself the transformation that only shows up after the final step. Because every time you finish, you grow. You learn something new about your limits, your discipline, your resilience. You prove to yourself that you're not just a talker. You're a doer, a closer, a finisher. Unfinished goals are missed opportunities not just for success, but for elevation. That business you stopped building, it could have taught you how to lead. That fitness journey you abandoned, it could have built mental toughness that spilled into every area of your life. That degree you left behind, it could have unlocked doors you don't even know exist. Finishing is about more than just the outcome, it's about who you become in the process. It's about showing up when it's not convenient. About staying faithful to the vision even when the feelings fade. That's where greatness lies, not in the easy start, but in the hard finish. You can't tap into your full potential by constantly switching goals, changing directions, or chasing what's new. You grow when you stay, you grow when you fight through the middle, you grow when you say, "I'm not leaving until this is done." That decision unlocks strength, wisdom, discipline, and purpose that's been buried beneath comfort and excuses. Every finished goal becomes a stepping stone to something bigger, something bolder. It raises your standard, it expands your identity, it builds unstoppable momentum. And with each goal you finish, you start to realize you were never lacking potential. You were just one finish away from meeting the strongest version of yourself. Consistency isn't sexy, but it's the secret weapon of every finisher. Everybody wants to go viral. Everybody wants to win big overnight. But very few want to show up when the cameras are off, when no one's clapping, when there's no applause, no likes, no attention. See, success isn't about what you do once in a while when you feel good. It's about what you do daily when you feel nothing. Consistency is quiet. It's not flashy. It doesn't announce itself. It just keeps showing up day after day, stacking wins while everyone else is still waiting for motivation to hit. The real game changers, the real finishers, they don't rely on mood. They rely on mission. The average person wants momentum without repetition, but it doesn't work like that. You don't become excellent at anything by touching it once in a while. You become excellent when you lock in and make the decision to show up for it, whether it's raining or sunny, whether you're motivated or drained, whether people are supporting you or doubting you. Consistency doesn't care about circumstances. It cares about commitment. That's what separates the ones who reach their goals from the ones who just talk about them. Talent may start the race, but consistency finishes it. There's power in doing the work when nobody's watching. Every early morning you wake up to train, every late night you stay up to build your dream, every moment you choose discipline over distraction. Those are the invisible victories that eventually lead to visible results. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to be consistent. Because every time you show up, even when you don't feel like it, you're building a version of you that's dependable, unshakable, and resilient. You're creating a pattern of excellence that compounds over time, even if you don't see the rewards right away. Most people don't fail because they're not capable. They fail because they keep stopping and starting. They sprint for a week, then disappear for a month. They hit the gym for 3 days, then go back to bad habits. They post one video, don't see results, and give up. That stop cycle is what kills momentum, kills belief, kills progress. But the finisher understands that slow progress is still progress. They know that average effort done daily will always beat extreme effort done occasionally, because consistency builds trust, it builds character, it builds a foundation that success can stand on. When you commit to consistency, you send a message to yourself and to the world, I'm serious about this. You stop negotiating with your goals. You stop treating your purpose like a hobby. You start owning your routine, protecting your time, and prioritizing your habits like your future depends on it. Because it does. Consistency isn't about grinding 24/7 until you burn out. It's about being deliberate. Being disciplined, doing the small things that matter every day, even when nobody else is noticing, because eventually they will notice. Eventually, the world starts to pay attention to the one who never quits. You don't need massive wins to succeed. You need repeated effort. One small action taken with intention every day is more powerful than bursts of action once a month. You become who you repeatedly are. If you keep showing up, keep refining your craft, keep honoring your commitment, you will finish what you started. Because consistency builds momentum, and momentum builds belief. And once you believe you're a finisher, that belief starts to shape your identity, your habits, and your outcomes. You start to expect progress, you start to trust the process, you stop chasing shortcuts and start embracing the long road, and the long road, walked with consistency, always leads to results. The world remembers finishers, not starters. Grind until it's done. You can have 1,000,000 great ideas, 100 exciting beginnings, but if you don't finish, none of it counts. Nobody remembers who started the race first. History doesn't celebrate the ones who talked about it, who almost did it, who came close. It remembers the ones who crossed the line, the ones who pushed past doubt, fear, fatigue, and still showed up. The ones who fought through failure, kept grinding, kept building, and didn't stop until the goal was complete. Starting is common, finishing is rare. That's why it's powerful. That's why it stands out. Because in a world full of dreamers, it's the finishers who change the game. You don't get rewarded for ideas. You get rewarded for execution. Everyone's got a plan until the grind begins, until it stops being fun, until the pressure hits. Until life shows up and tries to distract, delay, and destroy your progress. That's where most people fold. That's where the starters begin to disappear. They lose the spark, and with it, they lose their drive. But finishers, they light a different fire. They don't operate on hype. They operate on discipline. They're not looking for permission or praise. They've made a decision that nothing is going to stop them. Not failure, not delay, not silence, not struggle. They don't need the world to see their progress to stay committed to the vision. Because finishers have a mindset that says, if I start it, I will finish it. Not when it's easy, not when it's convenient, but when it's done. That mindset becomes their fuel. That mindset becomes their identity. And, over time, people start to see it. They start to say, that's the one who follows through. That's the one who doesn't just talk. He delivers. That's the one who closes. Because the world pays attention to consistency. The world rewards resilience. And when you show up, grind, and finish, the world starts moving out of your way. There's a power that comes from completion. When you finish something, it builds confidence that nothing else can. You look at yourself differently, you walk differently, because now you have proof that you can stay committed, proof that you can overcome obstacles, proof that you are not who you used to be. Every goal you finish becomes a brick in the foundation of your legacy, and that legacy doesn't get built with potential. It gets built with persistence, with the kind of consistency that says, I'm not stopping until I see it through. Finishing isn't about perfection. It's about perseverance. It's about pushing through even when the circumstances aren't ideal. It's about keeping the promise you made to yourself when you were motivated, even when the motivation is gone. It's about showing up with full effort on the days when nobody would blame you for quitting. That's the stuff finishers are made of, not luck, not talent, grit, vision, willpower, heart. There are millions of people who started writing books that were never published. Millions who started businesses that never launched. Dreams that were half built and then left to die. Not because they didn't have potential, but because they didn't push through to the finish. But when you finish, really finish, you create something that lasts. Something that lives beyond you. Something that inspires the next person to finish their race. Because finishing is contagious. It creates momentum. It rewrites your story. It separates you from the crowd. It makes your name mean something. You don't need to be the fastest, the strongest, or the smartest. You just need to be the one who doesn't quit. The one who keeps showing up. The one who grinds until it's done. Because in the end, that's who gets remembered. That's who makes impact. That's who wins.